It's Australia who get us underway in Saitama. Host Russia, Brazil and Iran have 3 of the 32 golden tickets for the World Cup next year. One of these two teams, Andy Harper, could well be joining them tonight.
Well, the prize is close for both. A win will sort it for the victor. 3 points tonight will get Japan or Australia a ticket to Russia 2018. And there are no better nights in football than this, Simon. I completely agree with your opening sentiments. Incredible hosts of any visitor, Japan. When the football team of another nation arrives, it's just an incredible thrill. And this is going to be an amazing contest between two very, very good teams. Little couple of stutters early for the Socceroos. Mats Baranovic's first touch in international football for quite some time. Good pressure early from Japan.
Well, it's brought about the first corner of the contest, which Yosuke Ideguchi will take. Ideguchi's corner in towards the near post, and Japan will have another go. Early pressure for Australia to absorb.
Enormously good spell to start by Japan. Australia stretched early moments.
So Ideguchi again. Goal kick. Flying in, Hiroki Sakai. Plays his club football in Germany. Rather in France, I should say, for Marseille, and was on the back end of a bit of a shellacking for his club only on Monday night. Was a late arrival into camp for the Samurai Blue.
Well, Japan primed for this completely, pressing all the way up the field, knowing Australia's going to want to hold possession and dominate the ball. It's a very, very important early stages here. And part of Australia's problem, if they've had one to this point in qualifying, Simon, has been silly errors early in the game. And Japan looking to force an error to maybe ram that home again here this evening. Socceroos need to settle as quick as they can. Easier said than done, of course.
And what a this change of shape for Vahid Halilhodzic tonight, Andy. Is he a man under pressure? He certainly seems that way. He was, as I mentioned, very erratic in the press conference yesterday.
Well, who knows how he's rattled the coach of his players. They've certainly started very energetically and insisting on forcing Australia into error and rushed movements. And so whatever he's done in preparation, leaving some of the older, more established stars out, bringing some younger guys in, maybe a little bit of their erratic behaviour was all a bit by design, who knows, but it's been a terrific start by the home team.
And this is Hiroki Sakai. Down the line for Yamaguchi, Sporanovic sliding in, and the decision is goal kick.
Yeah, well done, Mats Sporanovic. Nervous first contribution, but he did very well there.
There is Vahid Halilhodzic. And the press rumours here this week suggest that if he doesn't win tonight, he may be looking for a new job, which seems rather curious given that they would then have to go to Saudi Arabia and get a result to secure their spot in Russia next year. So an awful lot riding on this game for both teams. This is Brad Smith for Australia. Robbie Cruz trying to worry Maya Yoshida.
Well done, Maya Yoshida. At that situation, I probably would have preferred, if I'm Ange Postecoglou, an opportunity to maybe play the ball in behind Yoshida, see if Robbie Cruz can take him on. But this is just set up so beautifully, Simon. I mean, the conditions, the atmosphere, Japan's intent, and to this point at least, Australia refusing to bow. This is a very, very testing start to a World Cup qualifier.
and certainly different to the approach that Japan had in Melbourne in October, where they really sat back and played on the counter-attack.
Early days though, Simon. Let's see, of course, how the Socceroos settle. Their job is to weather the storm. They've certainly got the mentality to weather the storm. It's whether or not they can escape without making error in these opening exchanges. But the white heat of World Cup qualifying battle, amazing, really. Such a
well, so far so good. We're not yet 6 minutes into the game. Matt Sporanovic, who's on the ball here, has had a couple of tests down his side, playing his first international since the match against Thailand in November last year. Here's the mercurial Tommy Rogic, looking for space, which wasn't forthcoming. And now with Mark Milligan, who's captain in the team for the 8th time tonight in the absence of Miller Jedinak.
Well, what a night for Tommy Rogic to unleash the full arsenal on Japan if he gets the chance.
Matthew Leckie on the right. Robbie Cruz is straight into an offside position. Brad Smith sneaking forward on the left. They go down the right instead again. Cruz 1-2 with Troisi. Cruz isn't able to reach the return. It is going to be an Australian corner, their first of the game.
Good spell, good settling spell. The first meaningful possession really from Australia. And they work their way nicely up into Japan's territory.
So let's see what James Troisi can produce here. Matt Sporanovic is lurking with intent around the penalty spot, and it is Sporanovic who leapt highest and reached the follow-up too. And Tommy Rogic with a hook shot that didn't really have the power nor the direction to trouble Eiji Kawashima, who launches a long bomb forwards in the direction of Takashi Inui, who is then bundled over by Brad Smith, and Japan will have a free kick.
Brad Smith just being a little over diligent. Probably could have resisted, maybe. Halilhodzic appeals. Inui calls from the great Shinji Ono for Takashi Inui to be included in the game, starting 11 tonight.
So Ideguchi again on set piece duty, the youngster from Gamba Osaka. It's a decent shape to it. And it almost dropped for Asano at the back post, but Australia will bring it clear through Matthew Leckie. It's a really decent run by Leckie, and he's continued his foray forward. Across to provide cover was the skipper for Japan, Makoto Hasebe. And a second time, and he's won the throw-in for Japan. That's really good play by the veteran from Eintracht Frankfurt.
How good's this? A great burst from another German-based player, Matt Leckie, to carry the ball out of defence. Two champion teams, the most recent champions of Asia, both of course. Australia reigning Asian champions, and Japan had the mantle before Australia took it from them, and they're playing like Asian champions, both teams.
Dug out by Massimo Luongo. Robbie Cruz might get a piece of that, but referee's going to bring them back.
Hasebe on screen, the skipper for Japan. My recollection of the 1-1 draw in Melbourne, the front half of this qualifying group, he was enormous for Japan. He's had an incredible career. Robbie Cruz making a return to the Saitama Stadium. He was here 4 years ago, of course.
Australia got a 1-1 draw that night. Tommy Orr on the score sheet with a looping effort that went over Eiji Kawashima before Keisuke Honda scored a late penalty and earned Japan's spots in Brazil. Isn't it funny how things turn out? Here we are 4 years later, and again it's pretty much all on the line for both nations. And Australia just trying to settle themselves after that opening flurry from Japan, which I suppose we might have expected. Rogic unable to control it in midfield. Yamaguchi stepping it forward, but Sporanovic there for the Socceroos. And now Makoto Hasabe, who always seems to have time and composure on the ball. That's a beautifully punctured ball in behind by the fullback Hiroki Sakai. Takuma Asano, Hiroki Sakai on the overlap. It's a little bit too deep for the two attackers at the near post. Nagatomo going the roundabout routes. Back for Hiroki Sakai. And well anticipated by James Troisi, even though he's run the ball out of play in front of the 3,000 Australian fans who are trying to make themselves heard here in Saitama tonight.
Good luck. You wish them all the best. And they're looking resplendent in their Aussie gold, tucked in the corner. Ange Postecoglou receiving some input in the technical area from his assistant Ante Milicic.
Matt Ryan being put under pressure, and it's forced the error.
And even though the ball goes out, the Australians almost to a man applauding each other for sticking to their guns. They don't crack mentally.
Awkward one for Trent Sainsbury. Managed to scoop it away. Troisi can only move it further forward about 5 or 10 metres, but Rogic has stolen in on the blind side. And Australia might launch a counter here. Neat back heel by Luongo. Jackson Irvine. Robbie Cruz set off on a run. Irvine didn't spot it. Back with Trent Sainsbury on halfway. Now Sporanovic. Sainsbury again. Floated out towards Lucky. Infield is Irvine. Robbie Cruz has stolen a metre or two on Gen Shoji. It's a really good delivery. Brad Smith seemed to hesitate for a moment. Still alive for Australia. Cross deflected, which made it awkward for Eiji Kawashima. But he did get a little bump on the way through, which has brought about the referee's whistle.
Well, Brad Smith with the second effort to get the ball in. And it's the trailing arm of James Troisi which is infringed. But the question of Brad Smith is, why didn't he anticipate? You sensed it in the call, Simon. His job was to be there. On his heels he was, Brad Smith. And he mightn't have made it, but you've got to give yourself more of a chance. It was a terrific incursion by Australia. Robbie Cruz on the far side.
Eiji Kawashima, the veteran goalkeeper, has only just been recalled to the Mets first team, his club side in France. Mainly playing reserve football at club level last year. That's better work by Smith. Not quite enough on the return by Robbie Cruz. It's a good header by Asano. Osako couldn't bring it under his spell. Yamaguchi. Takashi Inui opens up for him nicely. I think Matt Ryan had it covered.
How's he got a corner out of that?
Well, referee has signalled it took a touch, maybe from the goalkeeper on the way through. This might tell us a bit more.
Matt Ryan was a mile away from it. There's no touch at all.
No way.
It's like 3 metres.
Well, that's a talking point, and certainly will be if this leads to anything significant for Japan. Yosuke Ideguchi with a corner. Matt Ryan to fist away. And Rogic to help it further clear. Matt Ryan having to scamper away after the ball to prevent the corner. Slightly awry off the head of Brad Smith. Coming up to the quarter of an hour mark. And no offside flag here. Australia were looking for it, but Osako was on, in the opinion of the linesman. Another corner for the Samurai Blue. Focus required for those Australian defenders. Midaguchi going short this time. Now creates the angle. Might have just glanced off the outside of the upright off Asano. And certainly Matt Ryan had that one covered as well.
Mini altercation between Maya Yoshida and Mats Peranovic. Very cool work from Matty Ryan.
A succession of corners for Japan in the opening stages. That's going to have to be retaken. Ball didn't go outside the penalty area, as it must do, of course, from a goal kick. Bench Postecoglou, I'm sure Andy will have expected that initial flurry by the Japanese. That's a good steal in midfield by Luongo. Brad Smith. Jackson Irvine. Sporanovic puncturing the lines for Luongo. Helps it on further for Cruz. Looks promising this for Australia, but far too heavy off the boot of Jack Stroisi.
Unlucky, just a little bit tight, but you know, Australia, when they're holding possession, are doing well. You know, Japan's tactics to start the match, at least, to get the ball into Australia's half very quickly. They don't mind if Australia have the ball in their own half, because Japan will press, and they're working on pilfering a pass by intercept or forcing another error. Japan teams in the past, you alluded to the difference in style, Simon. We've come to expect them to get the ball on the deck, out from the back, and craft their attacks. Very much looking to play the game however they can get it into Australia's half and work from there.
It's good scrapping by James Stroisi. Squares it up for Rogic. On the right is Lecky. Australia have numbers here. Jackson Irvine was available. They go down the more difficult routes, you'd probably say, which was Rogic in the penalty area. Might be able to build again through Smith. And amidst the flurry of that early Japanese offensive, we haven't really spoken yet, Andy, about the absence of Aaron Moore.
No, it's gone too quickly. What that means
for Australia. Several key personnel not available tonight. Nela Jedinak, of course, the captain, and Tommy Juric, who's been struggling with a core week, but he picked up playing for Luzern, his club side in Switzerland. He is on the bench, though. May be required later. High foot. Mark Milligan, the guilty party against Takashi Inui.
Well, he certainly got the ball cleanly and got it before he made any other contact, if indeed he did. Can't complain about that call from the ref. Deemed that to be dangerous play as Mark Milligan lunged in. Because the longer Australia are able to keep this Japanese onslaught at bay, Simon, there might be some sort of expectation that some cracks might start to appear in the Japanese approach. They're a long way from that happening, of course.
Brad Smith trying to use the engines that we know he possesses to get around Hiroki Sakai, who wasn't having any of it.
Not 100% convinced there wasn't a little obstruction from Sakai to start that. Matt Smith looking to knock the ball in behind his immediate opponent. And I think Hiroki Sakai stood in his way momentarily, but illegally. Chipped
up in the air by Smith. Sainsbury meeting it. Real up and under for Jackson Irvine. Seven attempts Australia have had at trying to defeat Japan on their own soil. Years gone by, they've never quite managed it. Drawn 3 times in the land of the rising sun. Lost the other 4. Could tonight perhaps be the night? You do sense with the unrest in the Japanese camp, particularly the dissatisfaction with the coach, they may never get a better opportunity. Here's Rogic, trying to slip it through the gap for James Troisi. That's good battling by Leckie to win possession back. Troisi has somewhat wasted that opportunity. Back with Luongo though. Now Cruz onside. Leckie couldn't control it. Cleared up towards Yuya Osako. He was waiting for the runners really, Osako. Well, a little slow in arriving.
2 excellent pieces of defending there, Simon, one from each team. Firstly, the screening provided by Hasebe to stop the penetrating pass out of midfield, just on the edge of the Japan penalty area. That was his hallmark play. And then Trent Sainsbury holding up Osako well enough to stop the Japanese counter-attack.
Yuya Osako plays in the Bundesliga, as many of these Japanese players do. Did pick up an ankle injury in a pre-season friendly against Bologna of Italy, which put him in serious doubt for this game, but he's pulled up okay. Did feature for his club side against Hamburg last week. So strong run by Hiroki Sakai. Now it's with Asano. But the two can't combine any further to trouble Australia.
Well, brilliant coverage from Trent Sainsbury. Cool as you like. Brad Smith caught, not able to retreat. It was Tommy Rogic who lost possession. Brad Smith beaten rather easily there by Hiroki Sakai. And then Sporanovic supported brilliantly by Sainsbury.
It's dropped here for Osako, who has the first shot in anger from either team. At least one that troubles the goalkeeper. And it did bounce awkwardly in front of Matt Ryan, but he dealt with it okay. A little error by Australia. And they can't afford too many of those tonight.
And look, that is the point of the Halilhodzic approach tonight. It would have been the last thing he said and the first thing he said in the team preparation. We will score off an Australian error if you stick to your guns. I mean, you can see it in everything they're doing. Of course, the test for Australia is to not make that error. There's been a couple of nervous moments when they've been able to settle in possession. Australia have looked promising.
Matthew Leckie has certainly put together 1 or 2 nice little combinations down that right-hand side. He's managed somewhat fortuitously to find Robbie Cruz from the throw via a Japanese foot. Bounce has deceived Asano, favouring Brad Smith. And this is Luongo. Robbie Cruz. With Nagatomo at his back, who's been joined by Inui.
2 against 1 in favour of the home team, and Robbie Cruz did brilliantly.
Timmy Cahill on the bench tonight, on his 100th cap, last time out against Chile. Always a sight to strike fear in the hearts of Japan. Scored so many times against them in the past, including famously, of course, at the World Cup in Germany. 11 years ago now, barely seems possible.
Well, what a career. Just ticked over 100 caps. He's almost at a goal every 2 games at international level. A late starter as well, in relative terms, Timmy Cahill, and has not finished contributing as a Socceroo.
Rogic beaten to it by Gen Shoji, who seems to have won the battle to partner Maya Yoshida in the heart of the Japan defence. Masato Morishige, who was there for the best part of the last 2 years, has been jettisoned in recent internationals. As Halilhodzic tries to find the right combinations. Here's Inui again. Back for Hasebe, the captain. Shoji out for Nagatomo. Hiraguchi. Inui. Two waiting in the box for a cross, which didn't arrive. And they'll start again through Maya Yoshida, of course, plays in the Premier League in England with Southampton. Now Hiroki Sakai, and again, he and Asano have got their wires crossed. Robbie Cruz just got a little nudge in the back there from Yoshida. Ange Postecoglou thought so.
It just didn't look quite as I was expecting that, Robbie Cruz. And there might have been a slight infringement. But I think the first error, if there were two, came from Robbie Cruz. He's lacking a little bit of anticipation that that ball was going to come out of defence to him. He's looked quite lively otherwise. Enjoying a return to full-time football, Robbie Cruz, isn't he, with his Bundesliga 2 team, Bochum.
Yeah, played in all 3 games in that league for his club this season. Given his injury concerns over the last few years, let's hope that continues. Oh, Hasebe robbed in the centre of the park by Luongo. Clever backheel too for Tommy Rogic. Potential here for Australia. Rogic went down, referee saw no foul, Japan survived. Little warning sign, Hasebe just dallying too long on the ball. And a couple of nice little touches only from Massimo Luongo early on as well.
The midfield's looking good. Jackson Irvine is looking so composed, Simon, in Australia's midfield. News of his move to Hull, breaking during this World Cup preparation.
It's a lovely weighted ball by Trent Sainsbury. Irvine. It's surely a foul on Cruz.
How on
nothing
earth,
doing.
Honest to goodness, you do wonder sometimes.
Again, Shoji appeared to go right through the back of Robbie Cruz there, but Ali Reza Al-Fagani saw nothing.
I'm not sure what he does see from time to time. Anyway, the game played in a very good spirit. Japan just settling into some possession of their own now.
Hiroki Sakai, it's over the head of Sporanovic. Turned by Asako. Passing line blocked off for Hiroki Sakai. Might get another go. Looking for the foul on Rogic, but again, referee says there was no foul. James Troisi doesn't have a lot of help here.
Well, because Robbie Cruz had dropped back to pressure the midfield defender from behind. Did a great job, Robbie Cruz. Now he's working his way back forward.
Massimo Luongo. Brad Smith. Sporanovic along the back line for Sainsbury. Australia's turn to just enjoy a bit of a feel of the ball, albeit inside their own half of the pitch.
Ange Postecoglou, I think, just calling out to Tommy Rogic to get a bit closer. And you can see him just drifting that little bit deeper now. There he is on the ball, Tommy Rogic. It's the deepest he's been actually in attack. The encouragement from the coach is for him to get closer to the player in possession, so indeed he can get clean possession and do his thing.
Sure, the Socceroos are grateful for the change in climactic conditions as well. It was very hot and humid in Tokyo earlier on this week, but we had rain yesterday, more today. The conditions really perfect this evening, cool and clear.
Beautiful night, magnificent stadium. I mean, a really magnificent stadium. Fabulous crowd.
Nagatomo plays his club football in Italy in the Serie A with Inter. Now Hiroki Sakai It's a useful-looking ball, but Yamaguchi couldn't quite take it in his stride. And Australia looking to break instead. Robbie Cruz on the ball. Rogic. Cruz had started his run too early, but Australia will get a throw out of it.
Error from Sakai.
Some of the travelling Australian fans. Saw plenty of them on the train out to Ottawa Misono. Really enjoying their trip to the Japanese capital. That come off the arm of Robbie Cruz? It did.
Yeah, I thought probably handball. And what has been... Yeah, fair call. And what has been a good opening spell for both teams, but from an Australian viewpoint, struggling to get an extra support player forward at times. Well, they've had those couple of opportunities to cross into the box, and we've lacked a little bit of support up there for Robbie Cruz, or for an extra runner to get into the box. And a couple of other times, as we've looked to play the ball forward with any sort of speed, perhaps just one player down in joining that attack. Can expect that maybe to settle down more as the game gets into a rhythm. It's been a hectic opening. Care of Japan's intent, but Australia's weathered the storm.
Irvine again trying to puncture that midfield line. Itaguchi was in the way. James Troisi. Milligan wants some movements, finds it through Luongo. That's clever. Robbie Cruz just trying to steal it behind. It was the right idea. Kawashima there before him.
Well, just superb, James Troisi. His touch hasn't been great, actually, to start this game, but that was a ripper. Beautiful to make space, and a nice ball in. Just needed a little bit more curl, and Robbie Cruz would at least have been a chance to have gotten a big toe on the end of it. Good work, James Troisi.
Good work, Matthew Leckie as well. He's got the whistle for Australia. Two coaches are studying concentration. And there's no doubt who's under the pump more tonight. That is Halil Hodzic. They don't want to be going to Saudi Arabia next Tuesday, needing a result over there, particularly with the Saudis still in contention.
Incredible opportunity the Saudis have had to really secure their own qualification in the last two match days. And it just all hangs on a thread.
Even a defeat for either team, of course, tonight wouldn't be totally fatal, but certainly make things more difficult. Australia would then need a favour from Japan against the Saudis if they were to lose tonight. Here's Leckie outside of the boot. Nicely done as well. Heavy touch by Brad Smith. And then he was a little too clumsy and trying to wrestle away the attentions of Hiroki Sakai.
Well, opened beautifully. And unfortunately, you're never going to get a challenge like that going the way of the attacker. Oftentimes, if the roles were reversed, the defender would get away with that, but such is the conservative nature of humans, particularly referees. I'm not saying he necessarily got that one wrong, by the way, but Brad Smith rather needn't have made it a contest. His first touch was too heavy.
Maybe a symptom of the fact he's not playing regularly still for AFC Bournemouth in the Premier League. Here comes Japan. Takashi Inui. Well, speculative from Hiroki Sakai. And they won't get a corner for that one, despite the pleas of Inui.
So that is a really good example of how different this Japan team is. A wonderful opportunity and broken play, forced by a nice little piece of combination down the right-hand, the far side, the left attack of Japan. And they just could not set up anything meaningful in the end. Sakai, really, player of his quality and experience, to have no idea other than to shoot, and shoot poorly. And Australia was stretched on that occasion.
Here's Osako. This looks more promising. Inui trying to get on the end of it. It's floated towards Asano at the back post. And he couldn't quite crane those neck muscles around the ball. But a decent threat posed on that occasion by the Samurai Blue. And Osako central to it.
Again, just support runners, but ultimately Australia's defending. Mark Milligan putting pressure on, and Brad Smith working well. Good chance for Japan, given the paucity of such opportunities in these opening periods.
Hiraguchi's been waved away from taking this free kick. He's taken all the others and the corners. And this is going to be Makoto Hasebe. And maybe that's why. Back with Yoshida on halfway. Hiroki Sakai. Hasebe. Sakai again. Drop of the shoulder by Hasebe, and he's turned it over for Tommy Rogic. Strange sequence of play again, really, by the Japanese from their own free kick in the opponent's half. Didn't really seem to know what to do with it.
Ran out of ideas, and again, let's pay tribute to the work of Robbie Cruz, making that extra defender charging in from his advanced position to come from the blind side, cause the turnover. That's at least 2, if not 3, such contributions from Robbie Cruz.
Clipped forward by Milligan. Not far enough for Cruz. Troisi on the halfway line. Few boos on the stands. They saw that picture of Vahid Halilhodzic on the screen. Meantime, Robbie Cruz has stolen in behind again. Shoji again recycles it through Rogic, who will look for Brad Smith on that far side. Now it's with the Bournemouth fullback Sporanovic. Troisi lifted up in the air for Luongo, who controls it beautifully with the head and the chest, and creates the angle to get it on the deck for Matt Leckie to drill it, deflected, and off the upright and away. Wow. The closest either team has come. Matt Leckie's efforts. Rogic on the follow-up. Leckie looking for the foul inside the penalty area. No whistle from Ali Reza Al-Fagani, but how close Australia were to taking the lead.
Well, fresh from a couple of goals in the Bundesliga. Did get the assistance of a deflection, and Kawashima was beaten. The deflection aside, Mas Luongo's lead-up play then was just superb.
Takashi Inui picking the ball up in a pocket of space for the Japanese. Sano waiting in the centre. Osako has to content himself with a corner kick.
Excellent work, Mark Milligan. Held his nerve brilliantly. Turnover came, Tommy Rogic not secure in possession. Quick as a flash, Japan looked to get numbers forward, and Mark Milligan one-on-one defensively was excellent then.
Hiraguchi back on set-piece duty. Osako standing virtually in front of Matt Ryan. Yoshida making his move. Doesn't really have the elevation. Came off the head of Matthew Leckie. Effort by Nagatomo. The follow-up by Yoshida. Australia scramble it clear for now. Cruz looking to link up with Rogic, and then a real up and under off the boot of Hasebe. Scruffy stuff really by both teams. Asano has got away from Brad Smith, fires it in low, and Sainsbury on the stretch. That's really well defended by Trent Sainsbury, particularly given his lack of football at club level as well in recent months.
Yeah, good scrambling defence. It's really under the pump, Brad Smith, isn't it? Takuma Asano, number 18, just doing a fantastic job for Japan.
5 minutes to go before the break. Neither goalkeeper really overworked. Maybe that's about to change. Nagatomo fires in a beautiful ball. There's the opening goal. Takuma Asano. No offside flag. He stole a march in behind the Australian defence. Nobody went with him. And he applied the finish to give the Samurai Blue the lead. Takuma Asano.
Well, we just said Brad Smith's been under the pump, then he just left his man stone cold. It's been the most dangerous exchange for Australia to this point. Takuma Asano, and he scored a crucial goal. It's a beautiful ball, but less than adequate defending from Brad Smith.
Well, the forlorn appeals for an offside flag from Matt Ryan, coolly tucked away by Takuma Asano. The Japanese bench up as one. I can tell you as you watch those replays, Yuya Osako has picked up a yellow card for his extended celebrations. And Australia have conceded with half-time approaching and have it all to do. Let's see how they respond. Sporanovic. And up until that point, Andy Harper, really, there hadn't been too much to worry Matt Ryan.
No, except
the shot count tells a different story, but how many of those were
not telling ones.
Really troublesome?
No, the worry for Australia has been, as the half has unfolded, Takuma Asano against Brad Smith. That's been the creaky point for Australia. Been under enormous pressure, Brad Smith, and unfortunately that pressure told with him switching off defensively.
Came off the boot of Sainsbury. There could be more problems here. Here's that Manasano again, looking for the angle. Milligan got his body in the way. And Australia need to get through to half-time. At worst, 1 goal down. A second would make it mighty difficult with only 45 to go. Here's Hiroki Sakai. Punches it in towards the near post. Oh, that was close. And again, that Manasano. In fact, it was Osako this time.
Good striking play, Yuya Osako. Nice ball from Hiroki Sakai.
There's confirmation of that yellow card for Japanese number 15, continuing his celebrations. A little bit too long for the liking of Alireza Al-Fagani. Half-time approaching, Andy. What does Ange Postecoglou's team talk consist of?
You know, it'll be very composed, I'd imagine, and he'll keep the boys believing in what they're doing, because that'll be offside against Robbie Cruz. The Matt Leckie shot hits the post, albeit off a deflection, versus the Asano goal. Care of some poor defending from Brad Smith. So they both had their spell. They both had good moments of pressure. Some of Australia's build-up has been good. The midfields look good. Japan look very fast on the counter-attack, very hungry, as you'd expect, in front of 60,000 fans.
Australia unbeaten in the last 12 World Cup qualifiers, going all the way back to that loss in Jordan in 2015, but that record is under threat thanks to this coolly taken goal, it must be said, by Takuma Asano. Beautifully guided into the corner past Matt Ryan. Here come the Socceroos through Brad Smith, but he's not got enough purchase on that one to try and get it out towards Robbie Cruz. As we move into first half stoppage time, of which there will be 1 minute. Well, could he survive for a few more days, a few more matches? Vahid Halilhodzic. It's going his way at the moment. And it must be said, despite all the pressure they're under, they haven't lost an international in nearly 12 months, Japan. Such are the expectations these days of the Samurai Blue.
Well, they've set such high standards.
Anywhere will do for Maya Yoshida. There we go, half-time in Saitama. It's Vahid Halilhodzic's team that had the advantage, courtesy of Takuma Asano. A mistake by Brad Smith, who had a half chance maybe to put us. Well, the biggest 45 minutes of the campaign coming up for Australia as Japan get this second half underway, leading as they do by 1-0 thanks to Takuma Asano's strike in the 41st minute. If Australia can't find an equaliser, there's the first free kick of the second half. Nasty collision involving James Troisi of Australia, and there are a few Japanese protests. Let's have another look at it. Not too much in that, Andy Harper, but the point that we were about to make, and which remains, is that Australia need to find an equaliser. Otherwise, they may well be reliant on Japan doing them a favour in Jeddah next week.
That's true, Simon. And I think they're very capable of doing it. They had some really good moments in the first half. I just think, in a personnel sense, we need a bit more from Tommy Rogic and we need better from Brad Smith. And if those two little components could have received some attention at half-time, Australia's stocks will rise.
Well, his stock's certainly rising. Takuma Asano plays in the Bundesliga with Stuttgart. Although he is officially on loan from Arsenal, he's never actually featured in the English Premier League due to work permit issues. But he's done a big job for Japan in giving them the lead, and Matt Ryan's clearance has only found a blue jersey. And here come the Japanese again through Ideguchi. Back they come through Hiroki Sakai. And now Asano on the right. That'll be a goal kick for Australia. But he's been a tricky customer, hasn't he? Takuma Asano down that right-hand side. He's given Brad Smith more than 1 or 2 headaches.
It was a good goal he scored to separate the teams, and he's had a very, very good game.
Another cheap turnover by Australia. That's 2 in the opening moments. Make that 3. Kasabi, and then the touch by Osako. Matt Ryan having to adjust the feet quickly. And then Jackson Irvine is the latest to be afflicted by the curse of the turnover. Not a particularly bright start by the Socceroos in terms of possession.
No, a little bit sloppy. But no damage done on that basis.
There's James Troisi, who is at the centre of one of Australia's better moments in the first half. That's a neat bit of skill on the far touchline, and then the threaded ball through that was just a little bit too far in advance of Robbie Cruz. And Australia had a few of those sorts of situations. Let's hope they can find 1 or 2 more. Tommy Rogic involved here. Heavy off the toe of Matt Leckie, and Robbie Cruz almost standing in between defender and goalkeeper. There was miscommunication between Yoshida and Kawashima, They get away with it, Japan.
Settled into some good play, did Australia. Robbie Cruz was really close there. Yoshida just getting in the way in the end. And desperate calls from Australian fans for a back pass there. I'm sure. But purely out of desperation, not out of good sense. And a nice move by Australia.
Here's Matt Leckie. He's made a good start to his Bundesliga career with Hertha Berlin. Scored 2, of course, in the opening day win against Stuttgart. Takuma Asano included in that Stuttgart team that day. He's had perhaps a little bit of his revenge tonight. Here's Rogic, who's got away from Itaguchi. And then bundled over by Hasebe. Ball with James Troisi. Squared up for Jackson Irvine. There's nobody out wide right, so they're going to have to go centrally, Australia. Might work out all right for them. It's Matt Leckie trying to find an angle, clipping it towards Brad Smith at the far post. And Hiroki Sakai just about got enough on the ball to put off the Australian fullback.
You're talking about settling well into his new German club. Matthew Leckie has looked so composed on the ball here this evening. That was a beautiful little ball to the back post.
See if Brad Smith can find something similar here. Top of the box is Troisi. They're looking for the 1-2, but not quite the telepathy required. But those Australian fans encouraged. Tucked away in the far right-hand corner. Hopelessly outsung, of course, by 60,000 Japanese.
And apart from the scoreline, enjoying the experience immensely. I'd be suggesting they were in full voice pre-kick-off. They had a number of encouraging moments in that first half, and after a little bit of a sleepy opening minute or two to this second half, have produced a couple of good pieces of attacking play.
Ball fielded as it went out of play there by Tommy Juric, who interestingly is going up and down the touchline, doing some warming up exercises, along with Timmy Cahill and Jamie McLaren. Ange Postecoglou maybe contemplating changing things up. You just wonder how fit Tommy Juric in particular actually is. Tackle from behind by Jackson Irvine, but the advantage has been played. And it's with Asano on the right, the game's only goal scorer so far. Hiroki Sakai. Back for Maya Yoshida. And now Gen Shoji. A little bit short for Nagatomo. Itaguchi providing cover. And it's going to be an Australian throw-in. Good hassling and harrying by Matt Leckie.
Yeah, terrific from Matthew Leckie. An ambitious effort from him in possession, but didn't give the cause up and won the ball back for his team.
Which one of those three strikers we talked about on the bench would be your pick, Andy, if you were to bring one on? Maybe all three?
Well, we have no idea how ready Tommy Juric is to play. Didn't train yesterday, so you can only assume that...
Nor the day before.
Yeah, he'd be a long shot. But the stage surely is set for Timmy Cahill at some point if the situation doesn't change.
A reminder of the scenario, a win for Japan, and they're through to the World Cup finals next year in Russia. This is Itaguchi. And Matt Ryan had to come. There was no cover there defensively, and he got there ahead of Asano, fortunately for the Socceroos.
Well, a turnover from Australia again, brilliantly diffused by Matthew Ryan. Wow.
Asano. Hiroki Sakai's continued his run. Asako waits in the middle. Sainsbury has to make it and does. It'll be a corner for Japan, but Australia stretched.
Again, just not secure enough in possession. Sakai is a constant threat down the right-hand side. Good coverage provided by Trent Sainsbury. Himself back from an injury layoff. Hasn't had a lot of football, Trent Sainsbury.
That's an understatement. 19 minutes since October of last year. He's played 7 internationals, though, since then. Australia keeping him going, you could say, really. And he and the rest of the Australian defenders on red alert here as the corner is Swung outwards towards the edge of that penalty area. Rogic battling with Nagatomo, who's too strong. There's the scoreline with 8.5 minutes gone, second half in Saitama. Asano has got away from Sporanovic. He's been full of energy tonight, really dynamic down that right-hand side for the Samurai Blue. Yamaguchi available. Back they come through Hasabe. And Asano again has got away from Brad Smith, not for the first time. And it was Inui trying to squeeze his shot through several defenders. The final touch must have come off an Australian boot because it's a Japanese corner, but it's the same old supply route.
It was a wonderful recovery by Matthew Leckie. Conceded the corner, but it might have been much worse for Australia. And again, Australia's left defence pierced. Goal scorer Asano continuing to cause trouble down Japan's right-hand side.
Itaguchi with the corner. Good shape to it, and it was Hiroki Sakai again throwing himself at the ball. He is a threat, isn't he, from set pieces in the air in particular. Had a half chance from a similar situation early on in the game. He's never scored for his country in what is now his 37th appearance. Minutes played, second period. A touch around the corner by Rogic. Nagatomo alive to the danger. Still the stretching goes on for Timmy Cahill, Jamie McLaren, Tommy Juric. Waiting their turn. Mark Milligan almost having his pocket picked, got away with it. Sainsbury. Luongo shifts it on quickly towards Brad Smith. That's a decent ball into the feet of Robbie Cruz, and was looking for the return with Smith. It's just a little bit tight in there. Japan should be able to scramble it clear. And now there's danger potentially for Australia at the other end. Incisive counter. And it's Inui leading the charge for the Samurai Blue. Takashi Inui. That's a really good challenge by Trent Sainsbury at the expense of a corner.
Well, maybe feeling the pinch a bit, Trent Sainsbury, but he was at full stretch then, and outstanding piece of defending. It was a key transition moment for Japan as Brad Smith lurched into the Japan penalty area in possession. And plenty of Australians in support. The turnover was almost exposed, and Japan just sprung upfield so quickly. Wonderful defending from Trent Sainsbury.
And there needs to be more of that from the set piece. Key moments these for the Socceroos in their quest to reach Russia. Itaguchi, and it flashes across the Australian penalty area. Out it pops for Hataro Yamaguchi. They'll rework it back through Makoto Hasabe. Still plenty forward for Japan in this attack. Milligan puts his boot through it. And respite for the Socceroos. Massimo Luongo. Robbie Cruz always a willing runner. Hasn't actually scored for his country though since the Asian Cup. Came against Oman on home soil back in 2015. Australia need to find a goal from somewhere. That's a lovely ball by Jackson Irvine. Brad Smith in behind. Nobody up alongside. It's found its way out towards Matt Leckie on the right. Tricks his way past Nagatomo, but couldn't wrap his boot around the cross. And a promising situation for Australia comes to nothing.
Well, good work from Jackson Irvine. He's had a really good game. Brad Smith found himself in that position that has been one of his key briefs. And he looked up, and one of the themes out of the first half was Australia, the lack of a player in the penalty area. Maybe Tommy Juric will be that man. But good work from Australia. They're plugging away. They made a couple of errors, and Japan have looked pretty feisty in seeking to ram home an advantage. But Australia have dusted off and pushed forward again. This game is just balanced so tightly.
Could Tommy Juric perhaps be the key for Australia? Did score, of course, twice to see off Saudi Arabia in the last home match in Adelaide earlier on this year, but it has been under a big injury cloud this week. Ange Postecoglou obviously feels it's worth the gamble with his team still trailing.
Excellent pressure again, Robbie Cruz. It's all those efforts that sometimes don't get appreciated enough.
Last minute instructions from the boss. Milligan to tidy up. Look at the determination of Takashi Inui to close down Matt Ryan. Just keeping Australia honest when they're in possession in their own back third. Trent Sainsbury. Tommy Rogic. A little bit more perhaps required from him to turn things around for the visitors. Leckie ran into a cul-de-sac. Nagatomo gets the better of Jackson Irvine. Good run by the left fullback.
Again,
and an important touch by Matt Sporanovic, otherwise Asano was away again.
What a read by Sporanovic.
Here's the change for Australia. It's going to be James Troisi withdrawn in favour of Tommy Juric, who has been in really good form for his club side, Lucerne in Switzerland. 4 goals so far in this new club season. A couple of those in the Europa League. And of course, not only those strikes against Saudi Arabia in the last World Cup qualifier, he also netted against Germany at the Confederations Cup. And they're hoping, and no doubt more back home in Australia, that he can find another one tonight.
Well, a bit more of a withdrawn Robbie Cruz, I think, will work as well. James Troisi put in a good effort, credit to him. And with that change made, Robbie Cruz dropping off the front line. And seen in his last couple of internationals, when he's played centrally with a bit of drift to his game, how much he's enjoyed it and how dangerous he can be.
Inui being pursued doggedly by Brad Smith. Ball's gone out of play. Japan throw. Inui and Asano, perhaps surprise selections tonight for Halil Hodzic, but they've certainly repaid his faith. That looked as though it should have been offside against Takashi Inui. Linesman was level with it. His flag's up now. Free kick Japan. And Australia don't agree.
Yeah. I don't have a massive problem with that being a foul, but I did suspect it was perhaps offside in the initial instance against Japan.
Hiroki Sakai shaping again as a potential target in the air. And again, vital moments these for the Socceroos. Got to try and stay alive in this contest. In front of that mass bank of noisy Japanese supporters. Hiraguchi to swing it in. Firm header away by Sainsbury. It's picked up in the deep by Nagatomo. Tries to lob Matt Ryan. Cheeky effort. And that's cleverly played by Mark Milligan, sidestepping the attentions of Inui. Here's Rogic. Hiraguchi alongside him. And he's done a pretty good job tonight, Hiraguchi, on the likes of Tommy Rogic.
He's got great experience. He certainly patrolled Tommy Rogic down there. In fact, wonderfully diligent defending.
He's a particular favourite of Vahid Halil Hodzic. Plays his club football for Gamba Osaka. It's just his third cap tonight, incidentally. He looks like a veteran because he's got grey hair, but I think it's dyed.
No, certainly. He's oh dear.
Oh dear. Matt Leckie with a turnover. This is Inui. Nagatomo was available. Inui delayed, maybe fearing an offside flag. Nagatomo has it now. Itaguchi. Oh, that's cleverly worked. And there's space now for Takeshi Inui around the outside of Sainsbury. And he's just overrun the ball. And Australia get away with that.
Again, Sainsbury doing just enough. A heavy touch from Inui, it's true.
Just a little bit more fluency at times about Japan in this second half. I don't know if you agree, Andy.
They're certainly very energetic. Their touch is good. And they're playing with an enjoyment of being the front runners in this one. Element of pressure taken off by scoring that goal. Of course, there's a long way to go, but it does ease the nerves. Maybe Tommy Rogic can do something to change that.
Gets it back off Leckie. He's going to have a dig here. Optimistic. And ultimately, well wide.
Not ideal, but pleasing thing is that Tommy Rogic has been looking more involved.
Timmy Cahill hoping to get the nods. Mustafa Amini doing some limbering up as well. Keep you posted on any potential changes. Meantime, it's a burst through from midfield by Luongo and then slipped inside by Tommy Juric. And Cruz couldn't get the better of his man, Ken Shoji.
Speed of the recovery from Japan was incredible.
Here's Juric. Might have been sizing up a shot on goal there for a moment or two. Jackson Irvine stretching and retrieving the ball. And back with Sainsbury on halfway. Still plenty of time for Australia to turn this one around. And passes like that don't help from Sporanovic. And Osako scrapping away with Irvine. Takeshi Inui takes over. Now playing his club football in Spain with Eibar. And Japan back in control of the football. Not for long, though. Throw in Australia. Robbie Cruz. Matt Leckie takes over. Smith available. Rogic let it run. 4 in the penalty area for Ange Postecoglou's team. Back through Luongo and now Sporanovic. Jackson Irvine. There's plenty of movement up ahead, but it's not a particularly decent release from Jackson Irvine, which is unlike him tonight.
Yeah, he's had a good game, but just a little bit narrow, that one, and a little bit of composure to keep threading those passes.
What about Japan's bench tonight? Andy, Keisuke Honda, Shinji Okazaki, Shinji Kagawa. Not bad choices for Halilhodzic.
He looks pretty relaxed, knowing he's got that sort of firepower upon which to call.
Jackson Irvine aware of where Milligan was. Oh, he's a little bit late on Itaguchi there, and that's why the referee has blown the whistle. A little bit over-eager in his attempts to win it off Itaguchi. Past the midway point of the second half, Australia still trailing. A reminder of the complex scenario in terms of qualification. Japan win tonight, they're in Russia. No doubts about that. And then it's really all about Australia defeating Thailand. And hoping Japan could do them a bit of a favour, at least not by losing by a big margin to the Saudis in Jeddah next week. It's very, very tight in terms of goal difference. In fact, going into tonight's game, Australia and Saudi Arabia, second and third in the standings, were level on points and level on +6 goal difference. The Saudis were in second by virtue of having scored a couple of goals more. So still a lot of football to be played before we know the outcome of the two definite qualifiers and who has to go into that third place playoff. Australia can make it easier by getting an equaliser or winning here tonight. Rogic finding Lecky, and Robbie Cruz was arriving. Couldn't get the purchase he wanted. He does get a corner though. He knows he was close.
Beautiful. We've got to have
a clean strike there.
Exactly. Nice work. Matthew Lecky arrived on time. Robbie Cruz. You've got to have those moments of intuition with perfect timing. Rogic and Lecky.
Timmy time soon. Not just yet. Might want to try to get him on for this corner. This is the sort of situation he relishes. Yeah, I don't blame Australia making the change here. Why wouldn't you? And listen to the reaction of the Japanese fans. They know. And the Aussie fans. He's scored 5 times, all told, against Japan. In the past, Timmy Cahill, Australia's record goal scorer. Is he going to be the X factor again? Not from deliveries like that from Massimo Luongo, that's for sure. Attack still alive for the Socceroos. Lecky leaves it for Cruz. Heavy off the boot of Luongo. Back in by Robbie Cruz. Cahill getting involved. Luongo trying to dig it out. It's like pinball in there for a moment or two. They appeal for handball, Australia. Quite adamant shouts as well. Referee unmoved. And also by Japan's pleas for a foul. All happening here. Play on, says the referee. Cruz in behind. Squares it up. Tommy Juric goes for it. Couldn't get a touch on it. And the referee's whistle has gone now. Ball's in the back of the net from Robbie Cruz. But the whistle had already gone for a foul against the Japanese defender. Well, so many talking points in that little passage of play there, Andy Harper.
Great from Australia. Really great effort from Australia. A couple of surges into the Japan penalty area. Robbie Cruz magnificent, getting rid of Nagatomo. And Tommy Juric has gone down before the play gets there in trying to get to the ball. Timmy Cahill has been adjudged to have been a little overzealous in trying to make something of that. You can't blame him, just off the bench, and the ref made the right call. But a great attack from Australia. 2 very good surges, coinciding with the arrival of Timmy Cahill. The Japanese don't need to be told what that means.
And the Australians certainly know what this last 20 minutes mean for them. But they've got to make sure they keep the back door shut. Poor touches by Inui, which is rare tonight as well, will certainly help their cause. All building towards a tumultuous climax here in Saitama. Everything on the line for both teams. Brad Smith just let that ball run. Not quite sure why. Helped out here by Sporanovic. Japan maybe starting to look just a little nervous with the finish line in sight. Ball breaks for Tim Cahill. Lecky couldn't reach it. Dug out by Itaguchi. This is Takashi Inui. And chopped down by Milligan. Free kick. Pressure relieved on Japan.
Well, there's a lot of pressure on Japan at the moment. The brains trust is working overtime. Working the metadata, crunching the numbers. The game's on, they know it.
Japan preparing their first change. We're going to see Genki Haraguchi shortly, the man who scored the goal and then gave away the penalty in Melbourne in the return fixture between these two teams last October. Left-sided attacker. I wonder if that means that Takashi Inui is going to be the man to be replaced. We shall see. Meantime, Australia enjoying a fair bit of possession here. Dug out by Cahill. He and Robbie Cruz playing between themselves at the moment. Luongo joining in now. Trying to protect the ball away from Yamaguchi. Everybody behind the ball, bar Osako for Japan. Jackson Irvine, not a particularly good release from him.
Yeah, very good spell. Very good spell for Australia, but just that key pass is missing. And now the pressure off. Robbie Cruz just overstepping the mark. But you're right, Simon. Jackson Irvine with time has had a very good game, but that pass just slightly off. It just eases the pressure on Japan. A strong...
And then rather carelessly tracked down Tommy Juric for the penalty some minutes later. 1-1 it's ended that night in Melbourne. I think Ange Postecoglou would settle for a similar scoreline here. He's brought two big guns off the bench, Tommy Juric and Tim Cahill. Quarter of an hour of the regulation 90 to go. Nagatomo's throw. Gets it back off Yuya Osako. This is Makoto Hasebe. Squared up for Hiroki Sakai. And they look for Genki Haraguchi and Ideguchi, who are both stationed in handy positions inside the penalty area. Off the head of Cruz meantime, and then Brad Smith. Over the head of Yamaguchi, but tidied up by Sporanovic. I suppose the longer this game goes on, Andy, and the scoreline remains the same, the more our thoughts turn to Melbourne next week and the need for Australia to put several goals past Thailand, and the hope that Japan do their bit of the bargain as well in Jeddah and don't just put the cue in the rack because they've qualified. Still a way to go before that's confirmed. Here's Genki Haraguchi, though. Gets the wrong side of Milligan. There are three queuing up for it. Ideguchi. And cleared virtually off the line by Trent Sainsbury.
How did he do that, Sainsbury? How? That is a near-death experience for Australia.
Maybe more of those moments to come as the game becomes stretched. Players tire. Japan trying to seal the deal. Well, Australia desperate to hang in there. And they will push. One of the key drivers of Australia is their physical preparation and readiness. It's a significant consideration when Ange Postecoglou selects the team and then monitors its progress through the game. And they will be believing they can run over the top of the home team here. They've just got to get a couple of passes to stick, but they're building some pressure. Keep the back door closed. The Socceroos must. Milligan wants an option. Cahill provides one, makes the ball stick. He does go down. There was a little chop at the legs of Cahill. He did well to retain possession of the football. Now it's with Juric, looking to roll his man. Cruz available. Lecky wide. Clipped in towards Cahill, but Kawashima is there.
It didn't quite come off. The intent was good because without just lumping the ball into the penalty area, the more Australia can set themselves to deliver the ball in for Tim Cahill, it will play to a psychological weak spot for Japan. And of course, more than that, it will play to an extreme technical advantage that Timmy Cahill has in those challenges.
.48 goals at international level. 5 of those against Japan. 6 would be most welcome right now for the green and gold. Time ticking away. Japan edging closer to Russia. Little dink forward by Milligan. Down the line by Luongo. Leckie is lost out and Nagatomo will take over. Important block by Mark Milligan. That's really good defensive work by Milligan. Got his team out of a real hole there.
There was...
And Vahid Halilhodžić is straight onto the pitch. He's incensed that his team's not got a free kick for what he viewed as a lunge by Milligan. Subsequently, Keisuke Honda's having his say as well.
He's ripping his own staff out of the way.
Well, he didn't need to do that, the Japanese coach. The moment you encroach onto the playing field, you invite problems.
Well, is it a moment, Simon, experienced coach, is it a moment when he just gets emotional, or is it a moment when he actually decides to intervene and cause a distraction?
Or maybe he's just feeling the pressure.
Well, that was the first option. I'd suggest he's not quite as cunning. His team is still looking to be good things at the moment. Or Australia are really edging. They're building a good case for themselves.
Well, the possession stats underline your belief there, Andy. But it's goals that count. Japanese have the one that matters at the moment. Milligan on the ball. Leckie. Robbie Cruz. Stabbed forward by Luongo, and they've found some space. Matt Leckie charged down by Gen Shoji. A little luckily, but effectively nonetheless. Back will come Australia.
Just look
Japan inviting pressure.
Exactly. Look how deep the Japanese formation is dropping. But these moments, the slingshot moments, are very nerve-wracking for Australia.
Here's that man Asano. Sporanovic backtracking. And he diverts it into the path of Yuya Osako, who lashes the ball over the top. Well, that could have been the moment for the Samurai Blue. However, luckily it arrived.
The Australian defenders getting in the way in their desperation to close the route to goal.
Yuya Osako had his chance to put his name up in lights and send Japan through to the World Cup. They spurn the opportunity. Australia stay alive. These little errors are not helping. Ideguchi. Away from Jackson Irma. Ideguchi! Oh! What a strike! And that's the goal that will, in all likelihood, take the Samurai Blue to Russia and the World Cup finals next year. He had one cleared off the line 10-15 minutes ago, but that's an absolute peach. And Australia are surely beaten here in Saitama.
Well, a turnover. It has loomed throughout the game as an issue for Australia. And they ferreted the ball away brilliantly. And in a 21-year-old's third international, he's hit a belter. Unsavable from that distance for Matty Ryan. 2 goals clear are Japan, and 8 minutes from Russia.
Yosuke Ideguchi, the J-League Rookie of the Year last year, with a big statement and a big goal. And it's a crushing blow for Ange Postecoglou. His side was starting to build a case. You saw how nervous Vahid Halilhodžić was becoming rather irritated on the sideline. He's all smiles now, at least his bench is. And so those Japanese fans. They've got to climb Everest now, really, Australia. Or at least in this part of the world, Mount Fuji.
Well, we've got a strange stoppage here. For what, I'm not sure.
Problem with the ball? Whatever it was, we're back playing now. So the equation edges away again from Australia. Their goal difference now is +4 to Saudi Arabia's +6. They're level on 16 points. Even one goal here, Andy, might make a difference.
Well, that's full, that they'll be pushing for that. Mustafa Amini is going to be given his opportunity. He's had a fantastic game. It's his third international, turned 21 a week or so ago. The grey hair, as you say, Simon, indicates a fashion trend, not an age. And to score a goal like that on this stage, with qualification beckoning, just an amazing game and an amazing goal to cap it.
Under 5 minutes remaining. Mustafa Amini. It's going to be Australia's third and final change presently. Jackson Irvine trying to slip it through for Tommy Juric, who's got the better of his man, fires it across the face. Heavy touch by Brad Smith, and it goes behind. They'll get a corner. The Socceroos could have been more. Good work by Tommy Juric. It came at a fair old lick to Brad Smith. He just couldn't kill it instantaneously. Jackson Irvine takes his leave. Mustafa Amini is with us for just his second cap. Can he help find a goal for Australia? Might not change the result, might change the equation. Corner clipped in, punched away by Kawashima. Just on that game in Jeddah, Andy, Japan as a country is really a byword for integrity, honesty, endeavour. You'd hope all of those things apply in Jeddah next week. They'll send their full squad and that they'll attempt to win the game.
Sure. Shinji Okazaki's about to get his opportunity. A boisterous effort from Yu Osaka as he takes his leave. Most certainly got no doubts that Japan will be fully intent on finishing the qualification campaign with full force, but whether they're ready psychologically is another matter.
So here's Shinji Okazaki, who's been in decent fettle for Leicester City in the Premier League, scored a couple of goals in that competition already. And he's got 50 at international level, on for his 110th cap. And on as much, you'd think, as perhaps to enjoy the celebrations as anything else. Just a few minutes away, barring a Lazarus-type comeback by the Socceroos. What have you made of this Australian performance tonight, Andy?
Generally, it's been a good one with some very promising moments. We've lacked consistent quality in the attacking midfield position. We've been punished by 2 errors, heavily punished. Brad Smith clocking off defensively for the first goal and a changeover in possession, and an outstanding finish for the second goal. And that's my tale of the tape. You know, we're certainly in the game. We had some terrific surges of pressure and some very good moments through midfield, but just that consistent quality in the attacking part of the field, we haven't been able to find that, and those two defensive errors have been so painful.
And this guy's been man of the match for me. Takuma Asano, scorer of the first goal as he takes his leave, to be replaced by Yuya Kubo, who's with Ghent in Belgium at club level. So the benches have been emptied for both nations. And it's ending in smiles and high fives and handshakes on the Japanese bench for Asano and co. And a night that's had promise at various moments for the Socceroos looks very much as though it's going to end in disappointment. And our World Cup hopes now, Andy, very much up in the air.
Wow, the next Tuesday is just going to be an incredibly nerve-wracking night. And then the early hours of Wednesday morning.
Mustafa Amini's first meaningful involvement is to give away a foul. I wonder if Halilhodzic will play the likes of Keisuke Honda and Kagawa and Okazaki next week, maybe. The 11 he's selected tonight have certainly done the job. Nasabe has been a reassuring presence back in that screening midfield position. Another push by Mustafa Amini. Australia desperate to get the ball. 3 minutes of stoppage time to be played. We're in the first of those now. Amini gets the decision. Juric eager to get on with things. Brad Smith in the 50-50. And it goes Australia's way. Lecky, Tim Cale's free on the right. Or was. It's not quite worked out for the green and gold. Story of their night, really. And this is Genki Haraguchi. And I think perhaps the most telling stat, Andy, certainly in the second half, is I don't have a single chance really written down in the Australian square of my piece of paper.
No, they've had some dangerous moments created and without actually getting a shot on goal. Kawashima has been stretched and scrambled a couple of times, but you're right.
Here's Kubo. Chance to finish it off once and for all. Sparanovic makes the block. Okazaki, the only other Japanese player inside the penalty box. Kubo will go again. Sainsbury meets it. Australia's unbeaten run in this final round of qualifying about to come to a close. The equation now for Ange Postecoglou and his team is going to be pretty simple. They have to beat Thailand, they have to beat them well, and hope Japan can take at least a point in Jeddah. This is qualifying through Asia, Andy. It was never supposed to be easy.
No, it certainly hasn't. It's been a terrific tussle, this one. Japan just too strong in the end. Really, after this 90 minutes, it's profited from two poor pieces of Australian play.
There's some solace at the end. Not from that cross by Lecky. Itaguchi scored the game-clinching goal. Gets it forward towards Kubo. Maybe in the final analysis, the lack of an Aaron Moy today, maybe a Miller Jedinak, lack of fitness for Tomi Juric has not played into Australian hands. Whatever the reasons, Japan are through.